This election is not really about voting for anybody. It's not. It's all about voting against somebody. That's what I've been noticing lately. Look at both sides. Look at both Romney and Obama camps. What are they talking about? They're not talking about, oh, our candidate is better because he did this, he did that, he's XYZ. Nothing. I mean, look at Mitt Romney and bank capital and all that destruction that he caused, destroying thousands of American jobs. And look at Obama with his hideous record on civil liberties and on the NDAA Act, stripping away our Bill of Rights whenever the president wants to declare war or declare some sort of emergency. The executive branch has the power to annul the Constitution for a long period of time. That means that Lawrence versus Texas, for those of us who are gay, means that if a president like, let's say, I don't know, Brian Fisher or Rick Santorum or Linda Harvey, if they were in the White House, or Michelle Bachmann, they can declare homosexuality illegal by executive order. And they can do that. All they have to invoke is the National Defense Authorization Act. And Obama has brought this upon us. And you might say, Jose, that's far off away. And you might be right. But again, we don't know what the future holds. I mean, I'm talking about maybe 50, 100 years from now. Or maybe even closer. I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen next year, next decade. We don't know. We don't know if probably one of these days we are going to get a right-wing reactionary mini Hitler in the White House. And that can happen. But in this election, we're not talking about who is the best. We're talking about who is the worst. We are going to vote against somebody here today. Or next week, actually. So when people call me these robocalls or these phone banking, they call me and they say, oh, you better vote for Obama, or you better vote for Romney. I'm like, well, why? And they say, well, because the other guy, Obama is hideous, he's wrong. Yeah, but shouldn't I vote for your candidate because of his background or his, I don't know, because he has certain qualities? Because he's better at certain things? Or am I going to vote for your candidate as a way to vote against Obama or against Romney? So think about that when you're voting. Are you actually voting for somebody or are you voting against somebody? And if you're saying, well, I'm voting against somebody, which I am, I'm voting against Romney. Now, who am I voting for? I don't know. I don't know who I'm voting for, but definitely it's not going to be that guy. I'm voting against him. I want to make sure he doesn't go into the White House. I mean, we have enough problems with this president. And then we have Mitt Romney, who is going to be 10 times worse, who is a asset stripper, who destroys companies, who is a greedy little fascist and a Scrooge. I mean, look at this guy. I mean, this guy still shops at 99-cent stores. He's a thrifty shopper, a billionaire who likes to thrift. What does that tell you? I mean, look, if I was a billionaire like this fucker, I mean, I'll be spending my money left and right. I'll be going not only on trips, but I will be opening up these businesses, factories. I'll be doing things with that money. And I'll be spending money. Oh, yeah, I would. And I'll be donating money as well. But spending money is actually good because you actually grow the economy when you spend. I mean, how do you actually grow an economy, genius? How do you actually get the economy going? You have to spend money. Somebody has to do the spending. And the problem is that these people who have sucked up all the money. I'm not saying that being a millionaire or a billionaire is bad. I'm not saying that. I mean, there are good people who are rich and who do the right things. But there are rich people who have basically risen to their stature through theft, through manipulation. They're crooks. They're money changers. That's what they are. And the problem is that they don't have a limit. They wanna suck the country dry of money. And they keep it for themselves. They're not gonna spend it. They're not gonna invest it. They're not gonna do anything with that money. And they don't do that. Nobody's bothered to ask Mitt Romney how many factories he's opened, how many people he's hired. How many people are on Mitt Romney's payroll besides his bodyguards? So, I don't know. You're asking me who I'm supporting for president is basically somebody with some sort of conscience, some sort of intellectual capacity, a person that is not swayed by political shenanigans, or somebody who's independent, somebody who's not paid and bought for by the clique, the Club 400, the controllers of this country, the people who really want to create havoc, people who are like Mitt Romney, basically Scrooges, and people who really hate the system of this country. They really hate Americans. You know, they really hate Social Security. They hate Medicare. They hate old people. They hate the poor. They hate people who are vulnerable. Supposedly, these are the people that are funding these pro-life initiatives and all these stupid, wacky, right-wing, reactionary policies and ideologies. Yeah, they go in there and they fund these programs. They fund these organizations like the Family Research Council. And then they say, no, no, no. Who cares about that? We only care about life when you are a fetus, because when you're a fetus, you don't need food. I mean, yeah, well, the woman does, but when you're a fetus, you don't need a job. You don't need anything. All you need is the nutrients of the woman's body to survive. But once you're out of the fetus, you're going to need more things. You're going to need clothes. You're going to need hospital visitations, doctor's appointments. You're going to need more food, more protein, more of the, more physical things and items that cost money. And they don't want to spend any money on this. I mean, look at the Catholic Church. They're rich. That church is the richest organization on the face of the planet. Yet look at all the poverty that they ride on. And all these Latin American countries where you have poor people begging for food and money right in front of the doorsteps of the church. And what is the church doing? Nothing. Because it's the same mentality. You retain power and money to the very, very few. Very, very few. You don't want that many people in your little clique, because it gets too complicated. But I tell you, this election is really difficult, at least for me. It's difficult because I cannot vote for somebody that I really want. I cannot find somebody. And this country, we have over 250 million people. Let's say 200 million people that are eligible to be president of the United States. They're over 35 years old. Oh, let's say 150 million. Let's make sure that they're capable of doing this job. There's 150 million people capable of doing this job. President of the United States. They're over 35 years old. They're natural born citizens. And so, out of 150 million people, we cannot find a decent person with mild capacities to run a government, to know and understand the basics of economics, to understand that yes, you're going to need to spend money, to lift the economy. And where do we get the money from? Well, that's interesting. Because the money was always there. The money was in play, and it provided jobs for almost everybody in the country. That money disappeared. It went away, but it didn't just disappear into thin air. It didn't magically enter into a new dimension and it's gone forever. No, somebody took it. See, money just doesn't disappear like dust. It doesn't work that way. Money moves. And you have to go where the money's at. You have to go to people like Mitt Romney, hedge fund hyenas, people who have stolen the money. Basically, I'm talking about stealing the money. Manipulated the stock market or commodities trading and building up these platforms and insider trading, all this shit that they have been doing. Selling derivatives that will one day burst into little pieces of crap. And they're the ones who are looting everybody, the banks, your 401ks, they're all being looted. And the money is being moved. That's what happened. The money moved away from your little hands and it went to somebody else's hands because he wanted it more than you. And he found a way to do so. That's how the economy really has worked for the past few years. And Obama has done nothing about it. He said, fine, you can loot a little bit, but, we can stimulate the economy a little bit here, a few pockets there, and he has done nothing. So that's really the sad part of this whole thing, is that people don't understand how this whole thing, this whole racket, is how it's being operated. If you had mild, simple understanding of how all this thing really accumulated and how it's being operated, how it's being manipulated by these people, by these group of individuals who really hate you, who hate the American people. They hate you. They hate me because we're in their way. And their man is Mitt Romney. That's who they have picked. And we all know that when they went and they had their little secret meeting at the Bilderberg group, we know what they were doing there. They voted for Romney. They support him. They give him all the money. He has never spent that much money. How much did he spend on his own campaign? What, like a couple $1,000s? That's what I heard. But they gave him all that money to run for office. They have given him more, like $700 million? I don't know how much money they spent already on this bozo. $700 million on this presidential campaign for a job that pays $400,000 a year. And people don't seem to find that to be a problem. I mean, there's something weird that only in politics, the only industry, if you want to call it an industry, I don't know what it is. Only in politics can you actually invest in a job opportunity that only pays like 1% of your investment. Well, what's going on is other people are paying into the bucket. They are paying for you to be there because they know that that investment that they have with you, they're going to get it back. And you're going to help them get it back by looting the treasury, allowing them to do what they need to do in order to take care of their own business. Okay? So, that's my response to that question. Who am I supporting? Well, I've already voted, and I've already sent my ballot, Actually, I was more fascinated with the local races because those were tight races. So my vote really did count there because these races were really tight. But the presidential race, well, my state, Arizona, is going to vote for Mitten, so what's the point of voting for that? You know, I don't live in Ohio, and I don't live in Pennsylvania or the other swing states. So, and that's the other problem too. Why do only a few states get to have all the attention and the glamour of being a deciding vote? It shouldn't work that way. But that's how we have it. So, to me, it's really down to the fact that, and it's really depressing, this fact, that we're not going to vote for somebody that you like. We're going to vote against somebody you hate. And I hate Mitt Romney. And if he loses the election, I'll be very happy about that. But then we have the other side of the coin. We have to deal with Obama. And let's see what he does during the lame duck session and after the his new term starts. Let's see what that's all about. Let's see if he signs any new NDAA acts or new violations against our rights. And what really pisses me off is that liberals have never questioned him, challenged him on this. And you liberals think that he's on your side. Oh, you're so deluded. You're all delusional beyond belief. Just the other day, oh yeah, on Friday wasn't it? Before the storm came in, Obama was on MTV, and he said that, well, I'm not gonna fight for gay marriage because that's really a state issue. You know, I support it, yeah, but well, if you support it, you're gonna fight for it. I mean, just like you supported Obamacare, bailout for the health insurance companies. You supported that, right? But not only did you support it, you fought for it. I mean, you hassled people for it. More so than you did for Don't Ask, Don't Tell or any of these other issues that the gay community wanted you to do. So let me just... oh, wait, and he gave up on that universal health care bill or plan that they had. Basically to extend Medicare, and I would have approved that. I would have been okay with that. But then we have this monstrosity, this health insurance program that is tremendously stupid. And liberals are applauding this as a good thing. No, it's not. What happened is that liberals, and I do believe this, liberals have won. And that's fine. Except that when the American system, all the progressive actions, the progressive initiatives that have been won are all kind of under threat, and nobody gives a shit. Obama comes in and he says that he still wants to reform welfare, which there isn't any welfare to reform, you bozo. Oh, what he's talking about is lowering the food stamps benefit for the people who actually need food stamps. Oh, that's a nice little liberal, isn't he? What other austerity cuts is he planning to impose on the American people? What other genocidal antics he's planning ahead? People need to eat. I just realized that. Oh my God, people need to eat. Yeah, that's how you survive physically. You can't just eat any shit. You know, you have to eat really good stuff. You have to balance your meals, you know, with grains and fruit, vegetables, and you know what I mean. I don't know. A good, nutritional, balanced diet, and yet, you know, to avoid any health problems. And, you know, if we don't supply, and you know, a lot of libertarians hate me, and that's fine. You can hate me for all I care. Because they thought I supported their party, and I do support some of their principles, but I don't support actually many of the policies of the Libertarian Front. And let me tell you why. Because you either have to disassociate yourself from the reality of the human consciousness, meaning you have to be a callous asshole to say, fuck it, people can starve to death in the streets, I don't give a shit. That's the only way that you can be a true libertarian. And I can't do that. The thing is that if we don't supply poor people with the appropriate nutrition, so that way they can avoid starvation and they can avoid malnutrition, because obviously if you go to the store and you buy the cheapest food, when you start thrifting for food, what do you get to buy? All of this food loaded with carbs, empty carbs that are not really good. You have all these food products with high fructose corn syrup, which is now proven to give you cancer and diabetes. So the cheap 99-cent 6-pack of bologna, whatever, all that shit is going to cause you health problems if you don't eat correctly. And some of the natural food, organic food, or at least semi-organic food that doesn't have all of these toxins, like corn syrup, I consider that a toxin. Or high trans fat and all this, which will cause heart disease. If we don't take care of that, if we don't become more conscious of that, then those people will have health problems, which means that they're going to have to use the ER rooms and use more hospital beds, and that's going to cost us more money, more than just supplying the poor of America with the appropriate nutrition that they need to survive. Oh, Jose, I got it now. So you mean it's cheaper to give people healthy meals than it is to take care of them in the hospital if they don't eat healthy? Yeah, there you go. There you go, Einstein. I'm glad you got it. I appreciate the personal liberties, personal freedom aspect, but later on I'm going to go into why I kind of am very disappointed with the Libertarian Party and its various policies, and it's just that they're not really that practical. They're not. The only way that it can be practical is everybody's fucking rich, but not everybody's rich. And I got to find out where all of this ideology came from, and it's basically from Peter Thiel, and it's coming from, of all places, Austria. If you ask Ron Paul and ask any conservative out there and ask them, what form of economic system do you support, they will come up with something called the Austrian form of economics, or the Austrian school of economics, the Austrian model. And you might say to yourself, well, what is that, Jose? Well, here's what I can say about that. I don't want to take up 30 minutes discussing Austrian school of economics. All I can say is this. Let me ask you a question. How many Austrians have been to the moon? Okay. How many Austrian rovers have we sent to Mars? Okay. Name me the current president of Austria. You probably don't know. Right now, don't go to Wikipedia or anything like that. Right now, answer this question. Answer it to yourself. Who's the president of Austria? Okay. What product do you have right now that's built in Austria in your living room right now? Or in your office? Or in your car, whatever. I don't give a shit. Yeah, you probably won't find anything from Austria. No astronauts, no rovers, no Austrian cars, right? Although I will say this. Austria did give us one thing that is really famous. and that's really well known throughout history. And that is Adolf Hitler. That's all I can say. You want to know what the conservative model is? Go to Austria. Basically, it's a race to the bottom. The race to see who can be more self-destructive. That's what it is. And they try to mix it with personal individual freedom, which I support. I support all of that. And in this election, we have pretty much, yes, let go of that. We haven't talked about personal individual freedom, but they won't go there. Because if you want to talk about personal individual freedom, you're going to have to go into various details. At least I think you should. How do you support individual freedom? Well, you have to protect the person. Protect the individual so that way he can exercise his freedom. And how do you do that? Well, you make sure that he's not being assaulted or killed or murdered. We have police to take care of you somehow, to protect you, or you can actually buy a gun or a weapon, and that's fine. I support the Second Amendment. I'm fully for the Second Amendment. And there's nothing wrong with that. But also, we do need the police to come in and to do their thing, to arrest a person, because I don't really want to kill anybody. I'm not like that. Well, there might be people who do want to kill somebody, but that's not me. So basically, you need police. Now, who's going to govern the police? Well, the police chief. And who's going to elect the police chief? Well, the city council. So you're going to need a budget for that, which is approved by the city council, which means that we need a city government that can overlook the police force. Oh, and also a fire department, just in case your house is on fire, so that way you get some help to ensure that your house is not burned to the ground, and that you are safe as well, that you don't get burned as well, and to rescue you in case you're trapped, or something like that. That's how you protect individual freedom. And when the government goes in to help you to make sure that you're protected and you don't get hurt or killed, that's actually protecting your freedom. Because with freedom, you have the right to be free. And death and destruction and you being destroyed or somehow dead or injured doesn't really constitute being free. But however, there's a difference between that and the government coming in and telling you, what not to do or what to do with certain things in your life. I can understand that point. So I'm not going to be dismissive of that. So that's what I always say, and this is the real problem. And I think people don't really capture this. And that is that the real problem with government is that it's not that we have a huge, massive, big government. That's not really the problem. The problem is that we have big government where we don't need it and we don't want it. Okay? Let me give an example of that. There's a street down a few blocks away from me. There's no school around it. There's nothing around it. But yet, they placed a speed zone camera, a mobile speed zone camera. Those things are famous here where I live. And if you go beyond the 15 mile per hour limit, because it's close to the school, yet I always pass by there and there are no kids in sight, nowhere. Yet, no kids in sight, still this is a school zone and it's 15 miles an hour limit. And if you go past beyond it, which you can easily, the camera's going to take a nice picture of you, your ugly face, and of your license plate. And guess what? You're going to get a nice little piece of paper in the mail. No, and it's not an invitation to the block party or to a Halloween party. It's going to be an invitation for you to a court hearing where you will be paying $500 for going 1 mile over the speed limit. Now that's a big government. And it has nothing to do with protecting the safety of anybody. So what I'm advocating for is not small government, it's not big government, it's actually common sense government. And of course, on the other side of the coin, we have a government that is too small in places where it should be present. For instance, what's going on in Wall Street. People are doing whatever they want. It's basically the Wild Wild West in Wall Street. People can do whatever they want. People can do some insider trading. Nobody gets caught. Secret board meetings where they're going to assume companies and then they're going to manipulate the stock prices and all. I mean, all the things that are going on behind the closed doors of these boardrooms. That's where the government should be. Protecting the American interest against the looting of a few individuals who hate us. That's where it should be. Instead, what do we have? We have cops who are pepper spraying peaceful protesters. What the hell is that about? That's something that we need to look at. Or the TSA grabbing your nuts at the airport. Why do you grab my nuts? Look, I might be a homo, but you're a 56-year-old white guy, fat white guy. I'm not interested in you. Why are you grabbing my nuts because I have to go into this airplane? I mean, things like that, yes, I can understand. That's why we need responsible, common sense government. But the only way we can get to that is if we have responsible, common sense voters that will put people into those responsible positions. I hope I've given you a nice lecture on Government 101. And that's my entire answer to that question. And you may submit questions to me via YouTube, or you can actually submit questions to me on my email. It's also on my YouTube channel. But that's the answer to that question. And some people do get confused. Jose, are you an undecided voter? No, I'm not. I'm not an undecided voter, you fucknut. Alright? Undecided voters are basically stupid assholes who don't get it yet. They're fucking morons. In fact, they shouldn't even vote. If you want voter fraud, go have voter fraud against these stupid assholes. I don't know who to vote for. Thing is, I'm not an undecided voter. Don't compare me to that shit. I'm an unhappy voter, which means I've already decided, and my decision is neither person gets my vote. I've already made my decision. And a lot of gay people are giving me heat. They're saying, "Oh, how can you do that? Don't you know that Obama is pro-gay?" Well, I just told you. He told MTV that he's not going to fight for gay marriage in his second term. That's a state. That is a states' right issue. And the thing is, if we are to apply the same principles, not meaning that all things are the same. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is to apply the same principles as we did with the civil rights movement, in which the federal government came in and had to do something. The fact that you have people that are being denied their economic rights because of the gender of their spouses is really something that is totally unconscionable. Because if we allow a government to discriminate against an unpopular minority, well, sooner or later, we will allow the government, we have to allow the government, to discriminate against a very popular minority, and then a very popular or unpopular majority. And so on and so forth. I don't need to be lecturing you on this. Most of you know exactly what to do. The American system is pretty simple. The American system is that we protect people's economic rights, we protect your freedom and your liberty, and we are the innovators of technology, science, and medicine. We have sent men to the moon, and I think there's more to that. I'm gonna talk about that later, but I'm very fascinated with space and technology and all that. So that's a good thing. But to me, the answer is that neither get my vote, and I think that if I were to vote for either of them, and my state that's not even a swing state, it's basically useless for me. That's basically just, I'm basically cutting myself. I mean, that's what I'm doing. And people who cut themselves, they have psychological, emotional problems, and I don't. I see things pretty clearly at this point. So, anyway, that's it for that.